Today's topic is going to be especially useful for those of you that seem to procrastinate a task or a goal that you've set for yourself until it gets to the deadline or until it gets to the point where there's actually a consequence that you have to face. So then what ends up happening with things like self-motivated tasks where there is no deadline is that, you'll say you'll do it next week and then that week turns into a month, and then at some point you just tell yourself there's no point in doing it because if your life hadn't changed from not doing it, why would you start it? But the inherent flaw in that is that if you want to level up in life, if you want to move up in life, you need to be getting done these tasks that are like self-motivated that you know can move you from one level to the other. And so to fix this, I'll teach you a technique that essentially works by creating artificial pressure and urgency onto yourself. And so you'll be able to get done what you said you wanted to do. I use this whenever I'm starting to lose some sort of consistency, like with my daily habits. And I'll show you proof here is that, I've had this to-do list for so many uh, days, and then, have another one over here where it's just showing that, I'm being consistent in the work that I'm doing. And it's because anytime I feel like I'm losing that consistency, I just employ this technique. So without further ado, what you actually need is like a notebook, like I said before. And what you'll be doing is at the start of the day or the night before, you're going to create a to-do list of the tasks and goals that you have for that day. So pretty standard stuff right now. You can also make this a weekly one, but I'd prefer keeping it on a short time scale because there's that problem of not even getting started. So the further you push the deadline, the further you'll probably get started on it. And so this encompasses your whole day. This has things that you need to get done as well as self-motivated tasks. Again, that stuff is still pretty standard, but here's the key. You're going to be assigning yourself rewards and punishments based on how much work you actually get done. So for example, you make a to-do list every day, Monday to Friday. That's 5 days. And if you complete 3 out of the 5 days, you get a reward. Like you get to go with your friends to that new restaurant that opened up, right? That's like a reward. Now rewards are good, and it's going to keep a lot of us motivated, but at least for me, and I think a majority of people, what actually gets us motivated, when there's like a lot of friction, is a consequence, right? A reward is kind of once you've already got the ball rolling, but I find that a consequence can actually help you make those big changes. So let's say an example of this would be you didn't hit 2 out of the 5 days, right? Maybe you only hit one or you hit none. Well, what would happen in that case is end of the week there would be a punishment. The idea is you want to mimic a real deadline for these self-motivated tasks. And you want to bunch them with things you already need to get done. That way it's like all encompassing. So you kind of have that progress where you needed to get these ones done and you got them done. So why not just keep that progress going for the next tasks? And so this, what it does essentially is it makes you harder to procrastinate because now there's real deadlines and real consequences and real rewards associated with your performance. And this is kind of how you trick your mind to take action when there's actually no external pressure. How I structure this. So personally, what I like to do is I like to have a small reward, maybe 2 out of the 5 days. If I complete that, I get a small reward. Then in the middle, I have some sort of consequence. So if I didn't do 3 out of the 5 days or more, there's a consequence. And then finally, if I completed all of them, there's some big reward. That's like the template that I've been using. But I know that a lot of people kind of want that initial consequence. Like that's like the first thing that they need to get over, and then you can start achieving that consistency. So maybe instead of starting with 2 out of the 5 days or 1 of the 5 days as your reward, you can make that your punishment. I wanted to categorize these rewards and punishments for you. That way you can kind of make your own. So rewards kind of go into multiple categories. So one of them could be a reward you're giving yourself is through personal development, right? Maybe because you hit this many days, you're going to buy a course, buy a supplement, an equipment that you wanted, like a gym membership, new basketball, new headphones, whatever the case is. The second category of rewards would be like, okay, you get to go to this event, you get to go to this concert or this comedy show, or you get to meet up with your friends, you get to go on a day trip, small vacation. And then the third thing, which I like using less of, is leisure. The main thing that I can think about that I've actually, I was looking through my old ones and seeing what I did. And for leisure, I think food was one of the ones I used quite often. Now, for punishments, this can be things, there's also categories for this, subcategories for this, and it would be like challenges. So you have to do, let's just say you didn't hit the 3 out of 5 days. Now the next week you have to do X amount of push-ups before leaving the house, or you can only take cold showers, or every morning, the first thing you need to get done is go to the library first. Let's just say it's like you're a student and you're studying. Instead of doing it at home, you have to now do it at the library. The next subcategory is restrictions. Uh, let's say you had to give your phone to somebody for this amount of time, right? That's like a restricting technology. Or you have to get rid of your headphones. That's restricting music. I know for me, music is like a super important thing. So if that was like a punishment, or like if I knew that next week I couldn't be listening to music, I'd be a lot more motivated to get the non-immediate tasks done. Now, my favorite one to do, and I do this like pretty often because I know what it takes to make the money that I've made, and like the work that I need to put in is financial. So let's say you have to give somebody this amount of money, or in fact, what would be even better is you give it to them first, and you only take it back once you've shown that you've completed this many goals. And then the fourth punishment that I find like really helps um, a lot of people is a social punishment. The best example of that I could give you is like you have to go get a buzz cut, right? If you don't complete this, you have to go get a buzz cut. That one can be a little bit extreme, so definitely be careful. But the main thing I want to stress about this is you want to keep it simple. You're not going to elaborate a whole list of rewards and a whole list of punishments, because really you only need three of them total, or 3 to 5 of them total for the week. The goal of this is you'll get to a point where simply accomplishing 5 out of 5 days is the reward in itself. Like there was a week where I finished the first 3 days, and I know I worked really hard for it. I forgot what the reward even was. My goal ended up becoming, okay, let me finish 5 out of 5 days, and it became, let me do, what I needed to get done on this work, right? So it became like, okay, let me actually just finish this project, and I kind of forgot about the 5 out of 5 day reward. And so there's two things there. You start becoming consistent, right? Once you get the ball rolling, let's say, you've seen it with people at the gym. Once they start going to the gym for a week, 2 weeks, a month, it's very easy to stay in that routine, whereas starting it was very hard. So that's the goal of this technique. And so how this has helped me is there was like a point where I was getting a little bit more complacent, because if I just stuck to my regular daily routine of going to work, going to the gym, making my food, and maybe teaching a couple clients, I was living a pretty good life, a pretty comfortable life. Going to the gym was like something I wanted to do, and going to play basketball was something I wanted to do. Going to work was pretty easy if I just had that certain time slot. So what I did was I used this technique, and I started adding goals to what I needed to do, right? So it was getting more work done than what I had previously done, maybe adding a new client. And that really helped me break out of staying the same, right? It helped me break out and move on to what I felt was the next level, because I was at a point where if I just stuck to that, I would have had a very comfortable life, right? I have a very good like friend group, very good relationships with people that I've maintained. I'm financially stable, so there wasn't as much of a reason for me to put in that extra work. But what I noticed is that the days that I do put in the extra work, those are the actual like fun days, versus knowing you could have done a little bit more and you didn't. So I've used this technique to kind of break through plateaus, but also sometimes it's not even a plateau. It's like you feel like you've regressed. And this technique has kind of helped me uh, break out of those ruts that I have. If you enjoyed this video, or if you have your own like reward or punishment categories, I'd love to see them down below. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one.